With the arrival of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and the influx of new people interested in the series, I wanted to take a moment to talk about one of my favorite games of all time, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now obviously, we all know this game is divisive, from misleading representation of the game, to poor tutorials, to the change in art direction. There's a divide among the community of whether or not this game lives up to its predecessor. Let me let you in on a little secret though. I was one of those that dropped the game. And let me tell you, it was a mistake I wish I never made, because when I came back to it a year later, I fell in love. As to why I dropped the game, it came down to three things: poor tutorials, my lack of understanding of the story and its characters, and Chapter 4. Now obviously, I'm being a little hyperbolic when it comes to the last comment, and since then I've grown to appreciate aspects of Chapter 4, but it still does not live up to the rest of the game. What absolutely does, however, are the characters in the world that Monolith Soft brings to life. Before we talk about that, let's address the elephant in the room: the designs. From outside appearances, yeah, this doesn't shine a great light in the game in terms of sexualization, but rarely does that creep into the actual game. Contrary to Donkey's opinions, Pyra is not defined by her chest size, and her character remains separate from her design. And with that comes a string of positives with the character writing. With the exception of Tora, each character shines brightly. There are only 2 scenes I can think of in this game that are often cherry-picked for the way they play out. And yeah, I don't like these cutscenes either, but in a game with so many cutscenes and story moments, it doesn't hinder the experience overall. Moments of lightheartedness with characters like Zeke are an absolute joy to behold.
This is my sword, the Purple Lightning Dream Smasher! If you want a taste, come and get it!
We're good.
While I don't want to spoil who joins your party in this video, the differences between Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2 are mostly within the characters. As I would describe it, Xenoblade 1 is a plot-driven game with great characters. The story is progressed by the narrative. In Xenoblade 2, it's the opposite, being a character-driven game with a great plot. From the villains to the main party, all the characters experience so much growth throughout the course of the journey, and that is best exemplified through the inclusion of Rex as the main character. Let's get one thing out of the way. Rex is not Shulk. Shulk starts off rather mature. He's a full adult by the start of the game. His ideals change throughout the course of the narrative. Rex is different. He is kind to a fault. And while at the beginning that can seem like a turnoff from his character, in the end it's nothing short of endearing. In the end, you don't want to see Rex snap, because we don't know if he'll be able to bounce back. You don't want to see him lose that smile. The best comparison I can make is the journey of Edward Elric in Fullmetal Alchemist. Throughout the series, Edward's ideals never change. He always stays who he is. However, it's the means of preserving those ideals, how to bring about his end goal, that ultimately leads to his development. Xenoblade 2 is a coming-of-age story, how Rex starts as a naive child, oblivious to the machinations of the world that surrounds him, and evolves into one with an understanding, but a desire to change the world for the better. Takahashi recently stated that Xenoblade 1 was its straight-A student, noting the type of story it would follow. The second one is not quite a straight-A student, but it has a much brighter and more lighthearted start. While the story starts off bright and innocent, the undertones and themes explored are very much mature. Story tangent over, let's address the combat. There are a lot of misconceptions about the battle system in Xenoblade 2, and the tutorials do not do a good job about explaining it.
And you essentially just do that over and over. There is a ton of things you have to think about around that, like element effects and then working with your party and your team to time everything right. And I get that there's a lot that goes into it, but essentially, at the base of it all, you are waiting and auto-attacking.
Now don't get me wrong, I wouldn't blame Wood for initially thinking this about the combat system, but there is so much more to it than he described. Later, he also states that the combat system in Xenoblade 2 is slow, when it is anything but that. Realistically, fights boil down to a couple of different aspects: driver combos, blade combos, chain attacks, and character setup. Drivers have a few things to take note of: their affinity chart, their weapons points, their accessories, and their pouch items. Affinity charts is much like a skill tree in other games: defeat enemies, complete quests, obtain points to spend on useful skills. Accessories are used for a variety of modifications for your character. Whether it's increased strength, decreased aggro, increased healing gained from potions, these are important to be aware of, and each driver will want a different setup. Pouch items provide bonus effects that can be a lifesaver in pretty much all situations. Each item will have slightly different effects, and I highly recommend the Narsapear Jelly, as you can purchase it early on and it has an amazing bonus of art recharge. The weapons menu allows you to upgrade arts in battle that increases damage, lowers cooldowns, and allows you to read the effects of your arts. Arts recharge through auto attacks and the art recharge effect, meaning hitting the enemy is imperative for building arts. In this clip, you can see the effect the Narsapear Jelly has on my recharge. Also, take note, animation speeds can have an effect. If you watch, this Great Axe blade swings rather slow with Rex, reducing the effectiveness of building arts. Each weapon class will have different animations on different drivers. Next, I want to teach a technique that I'm going to refer to as wobbling, which is simple as doing this with your controller. Auto attack canceling, or wobbling, is such an easy way to save time building arts. Usually, the latter half of auto attack combos have longer animations, so by canceling the chain after the first auto attack, you drastically reduce the amount of time and build arts faster. On the blade side of things, we have core chips and affinity charts. Core chips apply different stats to the weapon your blade currently does, from block rate to crit chance to auto attack damage. Each blade will want a slightly different setup, but overall, I prefer crit chance over block rate. Chips aren't overly complicated, but do make sure to use them. Affinity charts are unique to each blade, and will have a set of tasks to accomplish in order to unlock higher level skills and abilities. On the left, with the locked icons, we usually have what is the trust meter, slowly unlocking more over time as you use them. Over the locked skills, they will provide a detail of the improved ability, as well as what you need to do to unlock them. These bonuses are great, and building trust with the blade can also increase the overall stats. Make sure when you get notified about an affinity skill to open this menu up, however, for if you don't, the skill won't be applied. Now that we're done with the bulk of customization, let's talk driver combos. Utilized via arts, driver combos are a means to deal massive amounts of damage and other varying effects, including stunning the opponent. The main order you will want to remember is break, topple, launch, smash. Some blades will have break arts, and if you can follow that with topple arts, then launch, then smash, you can complete the driver combo. Blade combos, on the other hand, are initiated by specials. Specials are built up over time and have 4 levels. Using a level 1 special will start a blade combo, and will need to be followed up by a level 2 special and a level 3 special of specific elements. Fire tends to be great for blade combos, as it can work with a lot. Also, if you have a driver combo going at the same time, it is known as a fusion combo, providing even more damage. While we're here, let's talk chain attacks. Unlocked in Chapter 3, chain attacks are a means to do massive damage, as they can apply insane damage multipliers. However, they are also a means to eliminate grinding altogether. Chain attacks allow each member of your party to use a special with time frozen. If you had a level 3 blade combo prior to starting this chain attack, you will notice a floating orb circling the enemy. This elemental orb will appear under the enemy's health bar, and if you break it during a chain attack, it will up the damage ratio and increase the chain attack round by 1, allowing everyone to go again. If you are able to defeat an enemy while a chain attack is active, it will start an overkill, dealing more damage to it, and will add a multiplier to the amount of XP you earned on said enemy. If you do this on some story bosses, be prepared to gain tons of XP and skill points. That wraps up the combat portion of the video, which pretty much means this video is over. There's a lot to love with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it is a game with so much heart. If you're going in expecting the same experience as Xenoblade 1 like I was, I hope this video helps you understand the differences. And maybe my combat tutorial was a little better, but if you want an in-depth guide, I highly recommend checking the channel Anel. However, be warned that some of his videos will contain spoilers well past areas I've shown. This was mainly meant as a spoiler-free introduction. I hope you enjoy your journey in Alrest, and make sure to pack some tissues, because you're going to need it. If you like this video, it would mean a lot if you subscribed and left a like. I'm hoping to make some Xenoblade 3 content, as well as Xenoblade content in general. Thanks for watching!